I'm Skip Nipper, and welcome to Baselines. My very special guest today is none other than my brother, Jim Nipper. Jim lives in Johnson City, where he's a Lutheran pastor. And we have great stories to talk about when we get on the phone or greet each other like we are today. So we thought we'd share some of those things with you today about our family and about growing up, mostly about baseball. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for having me.
Good. I'm not sure you've seen this. If you have, it's been a long time. And this is Dad's. Dad went to North High School, played football, baseball, and basketball, whatever sports were available back then, right?
Right.
And we've been able to hold on to this.
Yeah, I remember that. He was very proud of that.
Dad always told stories about North High, and that's where his friendships began with some of his people that he continued to stay in touch with. Show that picture. This is a picture of, it says on the back, my good buddy, Joe Casey.
Yeah.
Chief Casey used to be the police chief here in town, and they were buddies. Dad lived across the street from the Caseys. Remember him talking about coming home from practice, and he had 8 brothers and sisters, and all the food would be gone if it wasn't for Mrs. Casey.
Yeah, he'd go across the street. Yeah.
He wouldn't have a hot meal if it wasn't for Mrs. Casey.
Yeah. Joe Casey was a wonderful man and a wonderful athlete, and they were big buddies for a long time, all of Dad's life till the end. Sure.
Yeah, Dad's birthday was July 1. He would have been 92. He's been gone almost 4 years. And Joe Casey's is July 31st. Yeah. And he'll be 94. And after Dad died, he called me and he said, I've heard stories about your family as long as we've been around. And he said, I wouldn't mind if you just start calling me Uncle Joe. So now
that's very
call him on the phone and say, hey, Uncle Joe, and he'll say, hey, buddy. And then get that right there, that sweater. Dad went on and played City League ball after high school and signed with the Boston Braves, and twice I think went to spring training but didn't stay. He was not one to be, surprisingly, to want to be out of town, and he ended up being a sporting goods salesman that traveled all the time. Yeah. Nashville Bridge Company.
1952. I wasn't there, but I've heard that story, and I've always felt like I was there because he was very proud there. And that was quite a prestigious title.
So, yeah.
It was a tough league.
It was a tough league, and Nashville Bridge Company was one of the best. Jenny McBride was the manager, I think,
Nabrico.
Yeah, Nabrisco.
That's
kind of neat they give those sweaters out. Letter sweaters are awful cool when you're in school, but you get one to wear around. We need to look there, see if he left us any money.
Yeah.
I bet he didn't.
No, I think it's empty. No, there's not anything in there.
And then I'm not sure I have this. This is Dad's catcher's mitt.
My goodness. I think you're right.
And it's got Frank Pig House model. And Dad always thought he was the best. He played for the Detroit Tigers. And we've seen that a time or two.
Yeah, you can tell because the padding here is so much thicker. They don't make them like that anymore. I'm sure that's his.
There's no hinge.
No, not at all. Yeah.
So when Dad would get us to throw,
he probably used this one a lot. Oh yeah, nice sound, isn't it? Yeah. That's wonderful. I'm glad you have. I forgot about that.
It needs to be oiled up some.
Yeah. He kept them in good shape. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. And then here's something I'm not sure I have either. You recognize that?
No.
Well, you should. It's got your name on it.
Well, yeah, I autographed all of my gloves. We had a wood burning set. Yeah, that's what I used. I never used wood. I literally did. People in Little League, they'd say, you have a glove. They didn't see, Don Drysdale or somebody over here. But this one's not marked, so it must have been one of his many samples. But I remember him giving me a glove that I never caught. But I think you did.
You didn't field either.
Huh?
You didn't field either.
No, early stages, I did a lot of first base coaching.
I'm teasing. Jim was a good hitter. You always could hit. You always were strong. We're a strong hitter.
Well, yeah, but I don't know anybody in any league that I've ever known except this gentleman who hit 4 consecutive home runs, 4 consecutive at-bats, home runs. So I know you and a few others used to challenge each other about home runs and stuff. And I know Dad would smile about that. Bart Leathers because y'all were in the running a lot of times, but he always said, well, you used to say, well, at least I hit 4 in a row. So if he's going to say something about me, that's pretty impressive.
That was the only 4 I ever hit. That was the only 4 runs I ever hit. Yes, it was.
Oh, okay.
It was the only 4 home runs I ever hit in my career.
You had a streak going.
But that was Little League as a 12-year-old. So, right? I may have been 11. I was 11.
Been. You could have been.
Because I turned 12 in September.
Yeah.
So anyway, good memories.
They're wonderful, and they're all built around Dad because he's the one that taught us all the mechanics of how to catch and pitch and throw and how to take it on the chin sometimes. You have a big loss. He was always there saying, you know what, you got to pick yourself up by the bootstraps and get better. And he was always a wonderful challenge in that way. Very positive.
One of the great movies of all time. I like A League of Their Own. I think it's the best baseball movie. Mm-hmm. I really do. It's just more enjoyable, I think, and tells the story of baseball in a different way. But the other one is Field of Dreams, and then that scene at the end where he says, "You want to have a catch." Every time I see that or hear that, I think of Dad, because you could always get Dad to go out if he was home and you wanted to have a catch or go pitch. I think maybe is what we see.
Oh, it always gets me because his father was a catcher. And it brings back memories, and I get tears in my eyes every time I see that.
I think about that a lot.
Yeah, he was always there. He would always catch. He always would.
Yeah. And then Little League, we were always at the Little League park. Remember the one down on Davidson at the entrance to Shelby Park along the river? He
and a lot of men back in the early '60s, I guess, they built that place. I mean, I don't think there was any contractors involved because they knew how to measure the bases and all that. But they put up all those chain link fences and all the blocks for the refreshment stand and the score boxes and everything where they recorded everything. They built that thing up there. They built it up all by themselves.
And if we weren't playing, we were there because Dad was there. I'm not sure Mom was.
Well, she was there a lot, and we ate a lot of snow cones and a lot of dust because it was dusty and it was hot. But you just wouldn't trade that for the world. I think we're influenced by those things all of our lives, and certainly Dad and others. We're certainly a part of that, and we're grateful for it.
It was a different day back in those days, but do you remember suicides?
Oh, yeah. You had Coke on one of the spigots, you had grape, and you had orange. And the kids that really wanted to challenge themselves said, I want a suicide. And that was, besides the rainbow snow cones you could make with cherry and orange and grape.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those were wonderful times. Popcorn, you can't make it any better than in one of those things.
Was it probably a nickel?
It was a nickel or a dime.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Well, we love that park's gone now. It's been gone a long time. I think, I can't remember, I think Natural Bridge Company owned that property, and the Optimist Club rented it for $1 a year. And then they finally sold it off.
People hit home runs like him in the river. It would go into the river.
Not this point.
I bet you did.
No, it didn't happen. But that was the only 4 I ever hit, really. Well, we hit home runs.
Yeah, but not that many. I hit a few.
Not 4?
My 12-year-old year, I never hit any until then.
Yeah, I never hit any.
But it's not worth talking about.
I got one more glove. You remember that glove your old glove was not autographed. It was just one of those models from a company that imported it or something.
It is autographed, but anyway.
Oh well, yeah, you just got your autograph on it. But then Dad worked for this company called Stan the Man, and it was when Stan Musial retired. Yeah, I think Rawlings was making all this stuff for him. I'm not sure. You remember going to St. Louis?
Yes, I do. Yeah, going to a ball game in the old ballpark, and went by there. I don't know that we went in, but we drove by the factory or something that they had there.
I can't remember
where they made a lot of that.
I just remember Sportsman's Park.
Yeah, it was they were good items. I used their baseball bats for a number of years. And I had a glove.
It's a Lou Brock model. I think it's a Kirk Flood model.
Kirk Flood.
Why did I say Blue Box, Kurt Flood.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. This is not my glove.
No.
This was my glove. Dad gave me this glove as a 14-year-old. There was no baseball. There was no place to play. So I played church league ball for softball with Dad, and not very good at that either. But 15-year-old, I got to play for Night Drugs in the Babe Ruth Western Division.
Remember that?
And we played our games at Coleman Park. So Dad gave me this glove. And so I loved this glove. In fact, it had the Stan the Man thing. Some of the players started calling me Stan because I had the same number as Stan the Man. But anyway, I was not close to Stan the Man. But I don't know what happened to my old glove.
Mm-hmm.
And so one day I was on eBay and I ran across this, and that's like my old glove. I don't think it would be my glove. But I bought it and I've kept it ever since. I've kept it in better shape than I kept yours or Dad's.
Yeah.
So, but those were the days. Remember what happened when we went to the zoo at St. Louis that time?
No, what did happen?
Pigeon got him right on the shoulder.
I
He just
guess
walked
I do
in.
remember that.
Yeah, he was so
Better
mad.
him than us.
Yeah, that's
I guess.
right. And then we saw a game at Sportsman's Park. We saw the Cincinnati Reds. I remember, I think it was Gordy Coleman hit a home run.
Wow. I don't
But I
remember that.
Yeah,
I remember keeping score. We had the scorebook, and it was fun to keep the score.
Oh, yeah.
And we had that book for a long time. I don't know. It's probably in your annals and things.
Well, I don't
that
know.
you've-
And then we have sports on with Dad playing sports, and then he became a sporting goods sales rep for his father-in-law. Our mother's dad, Jack Waddell, had a sporting goods agency, and he started out in sporting goods working for I can't think of Gray and Dudley Hardware on Union Street. And a fellow walked in one time to sell baseballs, and you know that story.
Well, yeah, and the famous thing for our family, our mom, her full name was Dorothy Worth Waddell Nipper, and they even her name Worth was the name of the baseball, so people think that's kind of funny. I said my mother was named after a baseball, so you understand how it's in your blood when your mother's middle name is a baseball. And I was out of Tullahoma. Mr. Lanham, he used to talk about him all the time. Yeah. And sold a lot of baseballs. Yeah. And we used to love that because they would bring the samples home, and samples would have either cut in half or have a quarter cut out of it. And you could throw some wicked curveballs with those things. You couldn't hit them very far.
We would spin those half balls out in the backyard.
Exactly.
Spin those things, see if we can get them to hop or skip like across the river.
Yeah, but Mom was named after a baseball, and that's been in our blood ever since. So
Now she's seen a lot of baseball games.
she sat and watched. Watched a lot of baseball and never complained. At least to us, she never did.
Yeah.
I think she loved it.
Granddaddy called. His name was Spencer Jack. His name was Spencer Waddell. He didn't have a middle name. He didn't even have a birth certificate. And old man Lanham, he used to say, told him he needed a nickname, so he just came up with him Jack. That's where he got his name, Jack Waddell.
Well,
he was a boxer.
Yeah, it was part of his semi-pro boxing career, and there were a lot of Jacks back in that day, and he picked that up.
Yeah.
And Kid Waddell was one of them, but.
In Granddaddy's territory, you remember his territory when he was selling baseball?
Yeah, he used to tell us very proudly from the Rio Grande River to New York City, and he was very proud of that. And I don't think grandmother saw him much in those days, but he loved it, and that love for sports and baseball, it trickles down through all those kind of things, and we're grateful for that. Dad was always there. He traveled a lot, but when he could be there, he was. He didn't miss the big games, and that was always very special to us. Just that love of baseball that he gave to us, and we still have that.
He went to work for, Dad went to work for Granddaddy in 1961, and until 2000 when he retired. And then one of the lines that we sold for was New Era Cap Company, and later on, and several other lines. But we had a long career that Granddaddy started. I think in 1932 he went to work for New Era. It was the second rep that they hired.
No.
So we've had that long part of sports in our history also as a professional, at the professional level with Dad and Granddaddy. But on the other side, Dad's brother, Walter, on National Sporting Goods. Now you worked there, didn't you?
I worked there one spring before baseball started. because I didn't make the basketball team. Stratford had a pretty good program in those days, and you had to be really good. But that's what I did. Dad said, you know what? That was his work ethic that he taught us. You're just laying around the house here now, and guess what? Uncle Nip has a job for you.
It sounds like them both.
Yeah. But it was great to go into Nashville Sporting Goods. It's just an iconic place to go because it was like that for years, and people love to go down there.
Oh yeah.
So that was a good experience as well.
And he was a good customer of Dad's too.
Oh yeah.
They were pretty good friends, pretty close.
They were. Oh yeah.
Pretty close.
When they were separate, they used to call each. Somebody would see them, and they would call them the other.
Yeah.
Which.
I remember even after Uncle Nip died, Dad would be at a restaurant, someone would come up and say, Walter Nipper, I thought you were dead. And Dad would say, you know, I resemble him in every way except my billfold. So, well, this has been great. I really enjoyed catching up with you. And my brother and I talk on the phone quite often. And of course, when we're together like this, the stories always evolve to Dad and Mom and growing up in 1906 Valley Park Drive in front of Stratford High School.
Yeah.
And we would be either at the ballpark. People asked me before, do you like to hunt? I said, we never went hunting. We were always at the ballpark.
Didn't fish that
or at the
much.
gym,
Yeah.
didn't fish unless Granddaddy took us just a few times. But if Dad was traveling, you know, Mom would do the carpool or run us off to practice or something. And we were, like I say, we were always at the ballpark.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, before we go, I have a number of parishioners in Johnson City that have been making masks. And they made this one. I actually have another one that has baseballs on it, but this has a lot of baseball sayings on it. And I promise I have not worn it or sneezed in it or anything. But it says fastball. So I'm going to give that to you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well,
You gave me a glove. I should have to give you
yeah,
something.
you get your glove back, so I get
Well,
your.
thank you. Yeah,
You did wear this
I
stuff.
love the
didn't you?
autographed version of that too.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
I always thought his name was Deep Pockets.
Yeah.
But that's,
I don't know if I ever told you this or not, but I remember when you were born, they brought you home. I wasn't too crazy about that.
Yeah.
I'm still not too crazy about you now.
yeah, well,
But anyway, it's kind of good to be with
I
you.
kind of grow on people.
Yeah. And so we'll do it again sometime. This has just been.
I hope
just
you
been
will invite me
really,
back.
really good.
I have a lot of stories to tell, but I didn't get.
You know, this is your only time.
Yeah.
You're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
All right.
I'll be back.
All right. Well, this is Skip and Jim Nipper, and you've seen another edition of Baselines, and I hope you'll come back and see another one. Bye.
God bless. Thank you.